Kwame, again, we just want to thank you for the presentation. As always, it's exceptional and thing. And I have a few questions for you. As is the, this is one of the places over here in Ghana where, the connection between Jamaica is before we do that, just by virtue of presentation, just kind of just give an overview of what right here is about Assin Manso ancestral slave riverside. Yeah.
So Assin Manso ancestral slave riverside was once upon a time the place where our ancestors were brought to for their last bath before they were finally sold to be taken to the dungeons and eventually shipped out of the land to the New World. It was opened or created in a way for the diasporan families finding their ways back to the continent to have an ancestral reconnection. So when you come here, we teach you, we tell you about the history, the ones that are not made available. So we tell you that part and we take you to the river so that you can experience it for yourself that way. You can wash yourself, clean your hands, your feet, and then get rid of all the negative impacts that this infamous trade has left on us.
Right.
So practically it's a reverential garden where we will come and then pay homage and tribute to our ancestors.
Good. And so when our ancestors were brought through here, you pointed out that initially, when the Portuguese started, they had, unfortunately, our people,
yes,
they sold the captives from their wars to the Portuguese, correct?
Yeah, correct. So during that time, the Portuguese never knew the various interior. So they were relying on our chiefs, the leaders, to get them the victims of war. Through manipulation and deceit, they made them to believe that keeping the war victims in their communities will put them in harm's way. So the best option is to give them out for the guns and gunpowder. So they offered the guns and gunpowders to our leaders, the chiefs. That way they can get the victims of wars to them. So it's true that some ancestors engage themselves in the trade by giving their war victims out for more guns and gunpowders.
You made an important distinction between what slavery was for European colonizers, imperialists, and what indentured slavery was in Africa.
Yeah.
Because whenever, in contemporary times now, whenever the descendants of the colonizers are being held accountable about the effects and the ramifications of history and whatever, one of the immediate reactionary stance and posture of them is that, hey, we really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They were involved in slavery long before we even started it and thing. But you're saying the kind of conflating two very different definitions of slavery.
Yeah.
Could you just kind of briefly just explain that for me, please?
Absolutely. So yeah, our ancestors had a system. But for me, and for many historians, we have a stance that Africans never practiced slavery. Because after their wars, the victims of wars were not enslaved, but they were inducted and integrated into various cultures. Note that they were not in chains and shackles. They were not treated like animals as slavery did. They gave them opportunities so that we can all grow together and build a kingdom. So if you are a warrior and you lost a battle, you will be inducted into the military. So you train with us and protect the kingdom. If you are a farmer, you work on the farm so that we can all bring food together so that we take care of the kingdom. If you are a healer, you use your expertise. Artisans were working together. In that system, it's an agreement that I'm going to serve you for a particular period of time. And I get my freedom back. My children are not included in this agreement, meaning the children are not their parents. That system is never hereditary. You have a roof over your head, you have food to eat, and you move around freely. So you are not a slave. But then in the slavery system, we all know what happened. People were practically limited to the status of an animal.
Right.
They were treated badly in chains and shackles.
That is European
European
slavery,
slavery.
the so-called New World slavery.
The European system that was introduced here. So when they said, oh, Africans practice slavery, I beg to differ. That no, Africans had a different system before the Europeans got here.
So right here is one of the spots where before our ancestors were taken to the dungeons to be, through the door of no return and so forth.
Yeah.
exactly what was done here? What was done here?
So right here, they camped them for a couple of days. They were fed so that they build them back up because they've been walking for so many miles to get here. Upon arrival, they had to shave them clean so that they bathed them to make them look so presentable and attractive for the buyers who come from the various dungeons to pick them here. So this was a campsite and also a bath place, the last bath, and where they were actually also sold. And eventually, after buying them, they will have to brand you to get to know that, look, you are now my property, and these belong to me, and that belongs to this person, before they will take them to the dungeons.
Okay, so initially, when the Portuguese started, they had told, I don't know if it was the Asante, what group it was. The chiefs, yes, that they needed a trading post because they're doing business with them, and they gave them an area for them to build what they thought was a business trading post. Yes. And then, but what did they build?
They built a dungeon. They requested for a land to build a trading post. The trading post was for trading gold, ivory, pepper, spices. And the land was given to them by Nana Kwame Ansa the first in Edina Elmina, the Fanti people. They speak Fanti. So they are close to the ocean where they met them first. So they provided them the land to build a trading center. The trade was in gold, ivory, pepper, spices. But what they built was different from what they actually proposed.
And what's the significance of them building the dungeon as opposed to a trading post?
As opposed to a trading post, the significance of building the dungeon was for the people.
The people that they intended to capture.
They intended to capture.
So the intention was there.
Clear.
The intention was there.
The intention was there. And let me tell you, the intention was there. No one should deceive any other person. Look, the intention was there. Because when these people got here first, they actually landed in Mauritania. And that was in the year 1415. They captured 12 African men from that particular territory and took them across oceans to the New World. When they got there, they shared them among the people in Portugal, Lisbon. They came the second time and got 235 Africans from that same territory. Out of the land they came.
This is what the Portuguese were doing.
Right. When they came. Right. So by 1440, it was in the year 1440 that they made contact with the area in Senegal. But when they got to the northern part, they met resistance, and that's why they decided to descend down south and got here. So when they got here, people never knew what they were doing up there.
So about how far inland? So why did they then choose to go inland, one, and about how far inland they went to get our ancestors?
So they had to go inland because look, the coastal zones were where they settled, and the people there were good to them. They didn't want the people to be like hostile, so they decided not to go to them to enslave them or any other thing. Even though they got some few of them, they had to go inland because the most strong and then energetic people are all the way up there. The northern territories, like
so. When you say northern territories, you mean the northern territories of Ghana. And where else?
And northern territories of Ghana is about 400 miles from here where we stand, and Burkina Faso, which is multiples of the 400 miles. Niger or Niger is far up north, 1,100 miles. Whoever is captured from there had to be walked from there to
so they had to walk more than 1,000 miles or 800 miles from Burkina Faso, or more than 400 miles from the northern territories. Yes, and they had to walk all that distance to come down here and whatever, in shackles and chains.
In shackles, chained to each other. Food was a problem.
You said a lot of the Caribbean peoples, they came from which three countries now in terms of land space?
In terms of land space in the countries, the Jamaicans or the Caribbeans came from Nigeria, current state.
Nigeria.
And
but what about Ghana? Asante
in the Ashanti
and
Fanti, the Evers. But then mostly, we are talking about the people from the northern part of Ghana. Very strong people.
Northern part of Ghana.
Yeah.
But it is said that many of us have lineage with the Fanti also. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
For people who come to Ghana, why is it important for them to come to a place like this, Assin Manso, the ancestral slave river? Why would you recommend that they come here?
I would recommend this because it's healing.
Healing.
Okay. We need to heal ourselves from the past, and then we focus on the future. just like Marcus Garvey and the various others have done. Martin Luther King Jr. traveled to Ghana. Malcolm X traveled to Ghana. And we have W.B. Du Bois coming to Ghana. Most of these people came to Ghana because of healing, not for any other thing. And also to tap into the energy and the spirit of the land so that they can use that out there. Look, Haile Selassie once said, an awareness of our past is essential to the establishment of our personalities and our identities as Africans. If you don't know what your past is, how do you know where you are heading to?
Sure.
A people without a knowledge of their past is like a tree without a root. So that's why we need to be here. We need to be here at the Assin Manso slave riverside. We need to take our first bath of return in the same area where the ancestors had their last ever bath. That way we get to wash clean, get rid of the last bath, get rid of the epigenetics, the generational traumas, and all these negative things that we are harboring in ourselves. We need to let them go.
I thought that was my last question, but I have two more. Straight, it's only two more.
Yeah.
The first of the two is just briefly share, because Jamaicans are going to be watching. A lot of Jamaicans watch what I do, and just briefly share with them, the story of Crystal.
Yeah.
And also the story of the Bajan person. Just put them to you.
All right. So Lady Crystal was a captive from Gold Coast, Ghana, taken as a captive. A slave enslaved in America, in the Caribbean, Jamaica to be precise. When they got there, she wouldn't eat anything. She embarked on a hunger strike, but then caught in the act. They forced her to eat by using the chisel and hammer method. The jaws were closed, so they knocked the teeth out. Place the funnel in there, dish the food into the funnel with water, they push it down the belly. That way she stayed alive for them to not to lose their money. But then she was a strong woman. Each time she's forced to eat, she waits quietly after they have all left. The fingers goes into the throat and she threw everything up. Oral history has it that her dying wish was to be brought back home. So the remains were brought back in 1998. When they arrived at the airport, they went through the door called Door of No Return at the Cape Coast Castle. So they will create a new name for that door as a door of return. Meaning time has come for us to start coming back home. And that's how come this grave was buried, the remains were buried there. 2019, that's some years later, we had the remains of our ancestors from Barbados brought to this land by the Prime Minister of Barbados, Her Excellency Mia Motley. Signifying the 400 years of African resilience, she brought those remains back so that they can also be re-entered into the soil of Africa, where their origin is. That way they can feel a comfortable land to rest on. And that's why we have them right there.
Powerful. Finally, I noticed that two of our national heroes are here. I've been coming here, this is probably my 7th or 8th time here, so I'm already familiar with why, and the world would know, Yeah. Marcus Garvey is a well-known Pan-Africanist, and a lot of people know of Garvey. But just share with us, we noticed that you have Queen Nanny also on your wall of people who, you celebrate here. I know this Queen Nanny and thing. Why is Queen? Why? I know. I'm just asking. why is Queen Nanny on the wall also? Just for Jamaicans who know Nanny,
Yes.
Yeah.
Queen Nanny was a native of this land from the Ashanti Kingdom. Captured and taken across ocean all the way to the New World. They got to Jamaica and she was left on the plantations there working. With her brothers, she managed to find a way to escape. Later went for the brothers, and then when they settled side by side with each other. Nanny Town today is still there, having a story to tell
Jamaica.
In Jamaica, having a story to tell the people that this is a woman who stood on her ground to save many of her people. Hundreds of people were saved by Nanny. His brothers also saved a lot of them. When they settled there, the battles began. They fought so many battles between them and the British until a particular period of time when a treaty needs to be signed among them. So Nanny is here because we consider her to be one of us as well as one of the Jamaicans. So Jamaicans and Ghanaians, we are all one people. So that's it. That's why we have.
That's a great note to end this interview. And Jamaicans and Ghanaians, you're all one people. Kwame, listen, man, thank you, my brother. It's always a pleasure. Whenever we come here and I bring people here, you are just an amazing wealth of knowledge. People you don't even hear the half. This man is a walking archive of African history, particularly the parts of our history that is relevant to our day-to-day existence now, in particular with what is going on in the world right now. And you see this kind of counter resistance to the truth being told, and a resistance in a way that is structured to deny the continuance of the erasure of all the lies and deceptions that we have been subjected to for hundreds of years. And we see that resistance and the demonization of the truth being told in the form of get rid of woke, get rid of this and that and whatever. So people like Kwame here, they're maintaining that resistance and maintaining the other resistance, and they're continuing to tell the truth. And if you ever come to Ghana, make sure you come to Assin Manso, Ancestral Slave River, and and avail yourself to people like Kwame and others. They're here also, who are only too happy, to share with you empowering, liberating information that you can feel organically and appreciate, and that will do wonders for you. I'll be blunt and say it's not for everybody, because if you don't have that interest, don't come here. You're going to waste your time. You're going to be bored, right? But for those of you who are interested in this, and particularly the way the world has opened up in so many ways, where we can travel now and all this stuff again. Because I remember one time going, when I tell anybody fly pan plane, a big deal. Now, woolly people, enough of we give thanks we can fly pan plane. So if you have it in you and you can find the funds and things, come over here and make sure you come visit this place and talk to a man like this. Kwame, big up yourself here, sir. Ratings and respect, my brother. All right? Protection, blessings. Yeah, Tam Fam, big up. One Tam Fam. Yeah, Kwame, big up the Tam Fam. Say, respect Tam Fam. Big up. It done right this, sir. It done.